Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. I'm over here at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios up in Natchitoches. By the way, Tommy, next week coming up in Natchitoches at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, we have the 2021 Hall of Fame induction class, which is really for LSU fans, super loaded with LSU people. Glenn Dorsey, the greatest, most decorated, defensive player in LSU football history. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf is going in, who is just unbelievable. For me, the greatest basketball player not named Pete Maravich at LSU. Also, Terry McCauley, who's a former referee and official, and now he does the NBC broadcast on Sunday night. He's the official in the booth. Did many Super Bowls. LSU grad from in the Hammond area. So there's a lot of Sheldon Mickles, LSU guy, is in the Hall of Fame class as well. So really excited about what's happening next week in Natchitoches. Go to lasportshall.com. We were talking before we had some technical difficulties about the upcoming matchup. And, Tommy, this is very rare. You expect that the Padres tomorrow night will put Austin Nola in the lineup to face his brother, Aaron. I wonder how many times, they really faced each other. I know they did one year in college in inner squads at LSU. But outside of that, I wonder, how many times they've really gone mano a mano with their best stuff.
I'm going to guess not too many times, Ronnie, because they didn't, Aaron got to the big leagues and when Austin was kind of bouncing around in the Miami organization and all that. And I don't think it's happened before for them to. Now, in the cage, in the off season, who knows? We'd have to find out from them guys. But look, the other thing you got to talk about, and you mentioned is two great guys. Okay, I worked with both of them on a lot of David DeLucci's clinics when we were barnstorming around the South a couple of years back, and just you couldn't have two better guys who can really talk about the game of baseball and teach the game of baseball. And I know myself and a lot of people are going to be in front of the TV tomorrow night anticipating that matchup.
The outside of that matchup, some of the other stories that are going on in the world of sports and is LSU football. They're having their last scrimmage, which I'm surprised that you told me this was their last scrimmage because, tomorrow is 2 weeks from the UCLA game. And a lot of times teams might scrimmage the week before. I mean, if you had a game, UCLA is going to play Hawaii next week. So I'm surprised that LSU is shutting it down 2 weeks before, but they are. So this is their last time to see the live bullets going. What are you hearing? What are your expectations? What are you looking for, I guess, in a final scrimmage like this when you're 2 weeks away still?
Well, based on the last scrimmage, Coach Orgeron wants to see the offensive line. He wants to see improvement because they looked a little sloppy and did a real good job in the first scrimmage. But part of that is the defensive line for LSU is pretty strong. Something that I'm keeping an eye on, Derek Stingley Jr. He has not been practicing. If he's not back out on the field next week, and he probably won't be in the scrimmage. If he's not back out on the field next week, then I think it's time to start saying, hey, when's the guy going to get back? It's precautionary, according to Coach Orgeron, but you're going to need that guy. He's an All-American. They talked about getting him some touches on offense. I don't know if that's been derailed because he's missed a little bit of time with a minor injury. I don't think it's anything serious from what I can tell. But you got to see the offensive line improvement. Coach O has made his comments in the media, and Coach Orgeron and many coaches sometimes will send a message through the media. He sent one to the offensive line. He sent one this week to the running backs. And, some people got to step up and start doing a great job. And, of course, Max Johnson, Garrett Nussmeier, everybody's going to want to know those stats. So there's a lot to come out of the scrimmage. And most importantly, the coaches, when they grade film and they look at some things that they're going to want to see, they got a lot of things they want to see. And if they don't see them, they'll work on it.
The hype machine has begun when it comes to LSU football. And look, it's the boy who cried wolf, Tommy. I got to be honest with you. Last year we're hearing about how great the LSU defense is going to be. It's simplified. Bo Pelini is going to be aggressive. It's all going to be about getting after the quarterback, no read and react, and all that kind of thing. Well, that didn't work out too well. And we kept hearing from Coach O how this is going to be the defense will be even better and the year before and all that stuff. So quite honestly, Tommy, I'm not believing anything. that we're here, and I'm just going to see it. Look, I mean, on paper, these are all 4 and 5 stars. We get it. But last year was so abysmal on that defensive front, and then that offensive line even took a while to get going. The good news is a lot of those guys are back, particularly on the offensive side. The bad news is because of the BS we heard last year, I think I'm just going to wait till September 4th.
Well, LSU fans learn in the tail end of Les Miles. It's all about what you do, not what you say. Because how many years did he say, we're going to throw it a little bit more. We're going to go full wide, and they never did it. So Coach O is no different than any other coach. It's about what they do, not what they say. Okay, they got to have something to say at media days. They got to have something to say in August. But, they got to put their nose down. But the offensive line, you got a lot of guys out there that had a lot of snaps in SEC football. They played nothing but SEC teams last year. So you got to fall back to that, and hopefully, they can polish up the mistakes they made in the first scrimmage, which mistakes are going to happen. That's why you have scrimmages, to figure out some things that went wrong. So I think they'll be okay.
I know, as I'm traveling around the state with the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the buzz is alive and well, and LSU fans are very, very optimistic. They keep hearing about these fantastic wide receivers and how good they are, and there's expectations with Max Johnson after he hung half 100 on Ole Miss in his last game that LSU fans saw him. There's expectations, TK, that LSU's going to be a super high flying offense. Clearly, Vegas thinks so. Well, that's why the over/under is what, 70.5?
70.5 against UCLA, correct?
Yeah. And that said, you got a lean right now, anyway, one way or the other?
I don't on the over/under. I think LSU clearly covers that 4-point spread, and that thing's been bouncing around 4.5, 3.5, 4, depending on where you shop. So I don't have a feel for the 70 yet. Want to see what UCLA plays Hawaii next Saturday afternoon. People can watch that, get a little feel for UCLA. The lines guys will go take a look at that, and then the line may move after UCLA plays Hawaii. We'll wait and see. And of course, that week I'll have more of a feel for what might or might not happen when the Tigers play the Bruins.
The big story that's kind of brewing, no pun intended, next week or the week after, some giant news in college sports. It's coming down the pipe, right?
Yeah, I've been following. The Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the ACC have been having meetings after Oklahoma, Texas, got accepted into the FCC, expected to be 2025, could happen sooner. Well, they've been getting together, and at first they were going to talk about like an alliance to do some scheduling stuff where, you might have the Pac-12 versus the Big Ten weekend and have a bunch of matchups just to increase TV rights, increase revenue. Now they're talking about an alliance that might mean more than scheduling, where they may be putting some things together. We're going to have to let it play out, as Ronnie Rantz' famous quote, let it play out. And but next week there's going to be an announcement from the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC. The Big 12 probably going to be eliminated, or they're going to suck up Houston and Tulsa and some people like that. So the landscape of the Power 5 conferences or the Super 5 conferences is about to shift again. Next week, expect a big announcement. Now, how does it affect LSU? How does it affect the SEC? Only time will tell that.
I think this is a situation, Tommy, where the leagues are saying we're tired of getting bullied around by the SEC, so they're going to file. I would not be surprised. I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but I would not be surprised if the SEC, if this alliance between the ACC, the Big Ten, all the Pac-12, all that, if they don't have some sort of clause preventing them either from playing the SEC or teams, or some sort of limited schedule against the SEC. If not, then what's the point? And if you're not a conference, and if you're not limiting the games, make it difficult for the SEC and create value amongst yourself, as opposed to the SEC having its cake and being able to eat it too. If I'm a rival conference, I'm saying, hey, we've got all these mega teams all across the country. We can come together and form a mega TV contract. There's value in the fact that we're playing each other and they can't get to us. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think they eliminate it. I mean, because that may backfire, but maybe limit, like you said. I mean, what you got Georgia playing Clemson this year, LSU's playing UCLA. I mean, and there's a lot of other matchups, Miami, Alabama. I mean, there's some matchups out there that would cross that line. So maybe they say, hey, only one per schedule. You know, you can only play the SEC once in a given year, which they're not really going to do more than once anyway. That's an interesting point you bring up. I can't see them saying, do not play an SEC team. I don't see that
So let
happening.
me ask you this, Tommy. What do you think the point is of forming this super alliance?
To get TV money, to get more money into their conference.
So
Follow the money.
They've done the math, and they figure out that as opposed to having 3 or 4 big conferences, right now there's the Power 5, right? So you're taking the scraps of the Big 12 after Texas and Oklahoma leaves. You take the Pac-12, the Big 10, the ACC. You put them together, and you're telling me that TV contract, when you divide the pie by 40 schools, is going to be more than if the individual conferences did their own thing and divided it by 10 schools. That's interesting. I didn't think that'd be the case. That's a lot of hands out there looking for money if you got one mega conference.
That's why I think it's going to be like a Saturday where you're going to have like the Big Ten versus the ACC Challenge Saturday, like they do in basketball, like the Big Ten versus LSU with the SEC and the Big 12 and doing that, where every game on a given Saturday is a conference matchup. I think you're going to see. I think it's going to be more something like that, where third Saturday of September is going to be a major matchup between the two conferences, or rotating with these 3 conferences, designed to boost the heck out of TV that particular day. That would attract money. They all need money because they're behind the SEC in money, especially now that all of Texas's money is in the SEC. So they're thinking short term and long term here. And then if the playoff is expanded, they don't want the SEC to get 6 of the 12 playoff spots, or whatever's going to be the percentage. So I mean, there's been a lot of meetings, and it's, again, look for some type of announcement next week about what they're thinking about doing or planning to do. They may throw out some nuggets with some solid ideas and info, but it's definitely going to happen. We just don't know the details yet.
TK, tell us about what's going on at Tremonti's.
Well, they got the daily lunch special today, the fried catfish with the crawfish etouffee. And, hey, if you're going to be tailgating or home gating for LSU, UCLA, or maybe you're going to watch the Raging Cajuns play the Longhorns, you got to go ahead and get to Tremonti's, 225-751-7665. Stop by, go to Facebook, Instagram, tremontis.com. Check it all out. As we got Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. They got it going on here. Got barbecue ribs for lunch tomorrow. I highly recommend that. They always sell out, so get here while you can. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. Facebook, Instagram, or tremontis.com. We got a lot of home gate and tailgating info coming up for you in the coming days and weeks. Parish County line, Ronnie. Fireworks on the Cane River.
Yeah, the next Friday, great place to bring the kids, the family, whatever. Next Friday, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. It's our annual Rock and River Fest, thanks to Rapides Regional Medical Center in Alexandria. And when Parish County Line is the headliner, it'll be an absolutely free concert up in Natchitoches, right on the beautiful Cane River, from 6 to 10:30. We'll have bands playing, fireworks at 9:15. Fireworks show, put the music. We'll introduce all the Hall of Famers on stage. And also in conjunction is our Hancock Whitney Taste of Tailgating. It's a VIP event right across the street in conjunction with the Rock and River Fest. Free food and drink all night long. All you got to do is go to lasportshall.com. So excited to see Derek, Travis, and all the boys at Parish County Line. They'll be taking the stage next Friday up in Natchitoches, the same stage where we've had Wayne Toops and Rockin' Doopsie and many, many other acts over the years. He's Tommy Krysan. I'm Ronnie Rantz. We'll be back next Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. right here on Sports Shorts Daily. Follow us, like us, give a share, give us a follow, spread the word. Also, Tommy will be joining me starting tomorrow. The second hour of every show on Sports Shorts Radio will be at Walk-Ons Brewery, the only walk-ons in the entire country that has a mural of Ronnie Rantz on the wall, pitching back in the LSU days. And for the record, even though Buzzy Heidel lives a mile away, there is no Buzzy Heidel picture at the Bruley Walk-Ons. We'll be back tomorrow for Sports Shorts Radio. Check us out, 10 to noon, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Until then,